If you're an SHTF prepper, there are 3 things that could easily disappear at any time that you need to buy next. So stick around for the rest of the video. We'll talk about what those 3 things are, why you need them, and why they could easily disappear at any moment. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're going to talk about 3 different preps that you need to get together now before they might disappear here in the future. They could disappear for a lot of reasons, but mostly it's due to regulation, and any of these items could be easily regulated out of your reach once that time comes. So I wanted to talk about what those 3 items are, exactly why you need them, and why they could be easily regulated away. Part of preparing for SHTF is having a lot of variety of different gear and supplies in order to survive whatever might come your way. And some of these items are very good to have in your preps. However, they're also somewhat controversial in the sense of what people try to legislate away, what they want to get rid of, and what they can do as one more excuse to limit your freedoms and restrict your ability to prepare the way you feel is necessary. So if you're worried about preparing for SHTF and you want to make sure you have the items and the preps that you feel you should be able to own, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so we can keep talking about different gear and supplies that we need to keep moving forward in our preparedness, okay? So the first thing on the list of preps that you need that could disappear at any time is going to be plate armor. And what I mean by that is ballistic plate armor that you can put in a plate carrier and basically wear a bulletproof vest. There's many different ways you can wear plate armor, and there's a lot of different companies that create plates as well as plate carriers. However, plate armor and bulletproof armor has been attacked before legislatively and has been on the docket for many years as something that they might be able to get rid of that isn't necessarily protected by the Second Amendment. It is an item that is purely for self-defense. You're worried about getting possibly hurt in a confrontation, and you want to be able to have armor that can protect you and help you survive whatever that confrontation might be, and plate armor can do that for you. And right now, at least in the United States of America, the civilian population has the ability to acquire plate armor. So right here I have a level 3 plate. This is the front plate for my chest rig plate carrier setup, and level 3 is the minimum. So here's some things about plate armor that I want you guys to understand as SHTF preppers, okay? We're getting things like plate armor for just in case scenarios, not to wear on a daily basis, not to wear 24/7 just in case something was to happen in the back alley of some major city we happen to be walking through or something like that. This is I'm putting this on with a purpose because at this moment in time, I feel like it might be necessary. So that being said, plate armor goes between level 2A and level 4. There's a lot of variants in between there from different companies, like plus editions of different levels that can do a little bit more than the one before it. And there's also different types. There is ceramic, there is Kevlar, there is steel. So you have to consider a bunch of different aspects when it comes to getting plates, but the most budget friendly and the easiest thing to do is to get some steel plates with some spalling on them in order to prevent any shrapnel basically from flying out of your vest or your plate carrier. And right now, you're going to be looking for ballistic plate armor. And the reason we want ballistic armor rather than basically spike armor or edged blade armor is because you want something that's meant for stopping bullets. Because as preppers and people who are worried about SHTF, that's our biggest concern when it comes to why we're wearing armor, okay? So you want to at least get level 3 because level 3 takes you into the parameters where it can actually stop rifle rounds. Everything below it is mostly made for handgun rounds, but rifle rounds start at level 3, then you get level 3 plus, you can get level 4. Level 3A isn't necessarily for rifle rounds, but it's for high-powered handgun rounds like 44 Magnum. This one, level 3, gets you in the door at 308 or 7.62 by 51. Will stop those bullets, okay? So this is something that can be easily regulated away, okay? And the problem is that politicians and those who have wanted to regulate other aspects of the Second Amendment have looked at this as an item that people don't need, right? As civilians, why would we need to protect ourselves from any kind of ballistics, right? So in their mind, this is something that you're gonna wear in order to commit some kind of a crime or commit some kind of a heinous act, rather than just to protect yourself from whatever might be happening around you. And it's something that's not necessarily protected by the Second Amendment, so it could disappear at any time. And this is actually a budget plate. It's made by, I wanna say, Scorpion Tactical. and it was very inexpensive. I got the full set for $90. So I'll show you a screenshot up here on the frame so you can kind of see what it was I purchased, and also put a link down below in the description so you guys can see if there's anything you're interested in picking up. But for under $100, you can get a set of plates. So if you're on a budget and you can't afford top of the line ceramic this or top of the line, you know, bulletproof suit or whatever it is you want to be like John Wick and want to wear, this is something you can actually afford and get in the door with. And even if you don't have a plate carrier yet, get the plates so that if they ever disappear and suddenly become a prep that you can't have in order to protect yourself and protect your own body with, then you have them and you spent less than $100 to at least get level 3s and at least have something in case you feel the need to prepare in the sense of putting armor on, okay? So, I wanted to start with plates because they've been talked about before. They could easily disappear when it comes to regulation at any point in time, and you should get some now while you can, especially with how fragile our online ordering system is. This isn't something that a lot of places just carry, that you can just go walk in the door and pick up some armor plates. So make sure you do it now before it becomes an issue down the road, okay? So that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing on the list. Amateur ham radios, okay? Radios that allow you to access the commercial frequencies and the strategic frequencies, and you're supposed to have a license in order to operate. And things like this Baofeng is going to be an entry-level version of a ham radio. It's something that can get you access to those different frequencies and get you the ability to communicate with others for long distances, much further than your average Motorola two-way radio. And they're very inexpensive. This one is a UV5R. It was about 50 bucks, okay? And you can pick these up on eBay. You can get them online in other avenues as well. And there's other brands as well, not just Baofeng, where you can get similar attributes as what this radio has. But ham radios are being attacked, and if you're not sure how that all works, well, first off, you're supposed to have a license, which is a class you can take to become an amateur ham radio operator, which allows you to broadcast over those frequencies, whereas I can own this radio, but I'm not allowed to broadcast with it because I don't have a license. However, in an emergency, if you need to broadcast with it, you're not willing, or if you're not willing to get in trouble for sending out an SOS or an emergency call of some kind, then you're not in that big of an emergency, I guess. So having it's better than not having it, not to mention all the different frequencies and channels you can tap into and listen in on. But the big thing with the ham radios is that places like California are starting to say that they are no longer necessary. They're obsolete. Because of technology, we've moved past them and they don't need to be maintained. So they're not going to maintain or build any repeaters. They're going to charge people who operate repeaters right now ridiculous fines to continue to operate in the state property or like the state-owned land or wherever these repeaters might be. And they're trying to get rid of it in general. And it's not because it's obsolete. It's not because it doesn't work well. It's because people like you and I are able to use it for whatever we feel is necessary, and they don't like that. So this is something that could easily be regulated. Either the ability to operate it could be even regulated further than it already is, or the ability to purchase one or even own one could be heavily regulated. Because of what they're trying to do and the push that they're trying to make by saying these are obsolete is another way of saying that we don't need them either. So make sure you pick up something like a Baofeng or even just a cheap ham basic radio to have for communications in case things go south and you need something to be able to talk to people further away than just the 2 to 10 miles that those two-way Motorola's will get you, okay? Easily regulated away from our ability to access, okay? So that's something else I think you need to put on your list of the top 3 things that are gonna possibly disappear that you need to get now while you can still place online orders and get things off the internet, okay? The last thing on this list, and here's how I'm gonna say this, so I want you guys to understand clearly what I'm saying here. I'm not a doctor, and I don't advise anyone using anything other than how it's described to be used on the item itself, okay? These items are pet meds that are specifically made for your pets. This is amoxicillin made for fish. This is penicillin made for fish, okay? You're only supposed to use them on fish. So I am not advising anyone to use these as any other way than how they're directed to be used. However, if you need things like amoxicillin, penicillin, or other types of antibiotics that your pets desperately need, and you don't have a way of getting them except for over-the-counter or online orders, well, you should get them now, because a lot of people have joined the prepping community. A lot of newcomers have come to prepping for SHTF, and a lot of people are becoming aware of the fact that you can purchase pet meds, amoxicillin, penicillin, from different suppliers online with really no regulation. And you have to have a prescription to get meds for yourself. If you want to get amoxicillin or penicillin for yourself, you need to go to a doctor, you have to have a prescription, then you have to go to a pharmacy and fill that prescription, and that's how you receive your antibiotics. So if you're worried about your pets needing antibiotics in case SHTF occurs, make sure you get your pet meds, which are just for pets, online while you still can, and before they get regulated away from us being able just to purchase them the way we can now, and not having to go to a veterinarian and describing our situation and receiving a prescription for those meds. As of right now, you can still purchase them freely online for your pets, and only for your pets. And that is what I advise, is to follow the directions to use them for pets. So, that being said, those are 3 things that I feel you should get now if you don't have, because they can easily be regulated away. And if you have them, you'll already have them. But if you are putting them in your watch list and waiting until one day when you can afford them and you just never click that button because it never seems as important to have this as much as it does another box of ammo, or it doesn't seem as important to have this as it does maybe a backpack, you know, those are things you have to consider and prioritize, because I can still buy a backpack one of these days. I can still buy ammunition as well. I can reload it even if I need to. But will I be able to buy any of these 3 items? You never know. And they definitely have all been talked about in one form or another from our legislators about whether or not we should have access to them. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. Please make sure you purchase what you need to when you can. I'll put links of where you can get this plate carrier for as cheap as I did, because it's a really good deal for how good it does. Mr. Guns and Gear actually did a review of this exact armor plate, not plate carrier, armor plate. And it actually performed really well considering its price point. So I'll give you guys a link to that video as well. And if you have any other questions about other preps or any other items that you are aware of that you think they might regulate out of existence sometime soon, leave a comment below so that we can all take a look and we can see what you guys think might be out of our hands and out of our reach soon here, so we can all try to prepare as best we can for that moment, so we can go get those items before they become scarce or impossible to acquire. So thank you so much for coming to the channel. Hopefully we can all help each other out and keep some of this information flowing so we can all prepare better for when this time comes. And that's going to be it for Magic Prep.